Welcome to Mod Mode Watches. Today we're going to be taking apart an SKX009 or an SKX007, just in a different color. Now this is of course one of the crowd favorites for modding with lots of parts available, and this is what you need to do if you want to take it apart for a mod or for a service. This is a beginner video with lots of detail, so I'll try to go slow. And if you've got any suggestions, please let me know in the comments, or if there's anything you'd like to know, just ask away. I'll also be running through a couple of tools, but before that, always make sure you clean your workspace, and for me, I just use a regular lint remover. And also be running through a couple tools, case holders, case back removers, some spring bar tools, and basically stuff that you need for your everyday mod or for your everyday service. I'll include the links in the bottom for your easy access as well. So what we've got here is your standard diver's case back with all the different notches, and you always want to make sure that you protect your case back well so as not to scratch it, right? So depending on what tool you use. But before that, of course, we're going to remove the strap. You've got on your standard Seiko diver strap, and I'm going to use the Bezel 6767F, the F stands for fine, to remove the spring bars. Now the reason why I use this tool is because it comes with two ends. On one end, you've got the flat edge that allows you to replace your spring bars later on. And then of course, you've got the forked edge, which allows you to remove spring bars easily. So after removing your spring bars, you want to make sure that you place them securely at the side. These are tiny ones and you don't want to lose them. Next up, you're going to remove the case back. And for that, we use a simple case back holder, a simple case holder. Something that's just a couple dollars off Amazon. In this case, I'm using something with plastic to make sure that it doesn't mark up the case in any way. Make sure it's nice and secure, and this way you're not going to accidentally drop your watch. Now of course, for case backs there are many different tools. This one just slides back and forth, and you want to make sure that you protect your case back well. So some people choose to use a friction ball or a squash ball or a ball of duct tape, whichever works for you. But today what I'm going to use is a tool that allows you to do finer adjustments that would allow you to grip on to the case back securely, and this way you run lesser chance of scratching your case back. So make sure it's nice and tight, give it a firm but controlled twist, and you should be able to unlock your case back. Carefully unscrew the tool, and there you have it. So after that, it's just as simple as using something with a pointy edge or a screwdriver and gently spin the case back to completely remove it from the case. So you're going to remove your case back. And then with a pair of tweezers, remove the gasket as well. And now you can remove the case from the case holder. Your next step will be to remove the crown and the stem. And to do that, you've got to locate that little lever Just there. Now to do that, you're going to have to unscrew the crown. And don't pull it out. Just unscrew it and leave it in its loose position. Find any soft surface and just place your case on it. So that's the little lever. And to do that, I use the Bergeron 6436. Just a simple polystyrene utility pick. Well, you can use anything with a fine end that will not harm your movement, but I like this tool because of the flat end and the pointed end that allows me to do a variety of tasks without harming anything. So twist it to a comfortable position, make sure the rotor is out of the way, give it a gentle push, and your crown should remove really easily. Now remember that if you have to force anything, you're not doing it right. So you want to make sure that you put aside your stem and your crown, and you don't want to bend it or get it snagged on anything. Now you flip the movement over onto a soft surface. In my case, I've got a movement rest. Just give it a gentle tap, and the movement should pop right out. Or if your movement is a little bit stiff, use a non-marring tool to nudge it out slowly. And there we have it, your decased movement. So next up, what you're going to do is to put your movement into something stable to work on. In my case, I use a brass holder that's custom cut for Seiko movements. And if you want one of those too, just hit me up on Instagram at modmodewatches. So gently twist the crown in a clockwise motion while pushing inwards gently. You don't want to push it too hard so that you don't mess up the internal works of it. So balance it nicely in your movement holder. Just make sure that you've got one that's nice and secure, that will not jump around when you're working on your dial and when you're working on the hands. Give it a quick check to make sure that it's all sitting well. Next up, we're going to work on the hands. In my case, I use the 6938 Bergeron dowel protectors. Well, you could use just about any small plastic sheet. The key point is to make sure that you avoid scratching your precious dowel, especially when you're working with either matte or high gloss dowels. Gently slip your protector or your plastic sheet under the hands and position them such that you are able to remove the hands easily. Well, with hands there are loads of different tools, but in my case I found myself reaching for these simple blue lever tools. Just make sure that whatever you use has got a thin forked edge so that you are able to lift up the hands easily. Now you could either go all at one time, or if you prefer to, you could lift them off the top two, just the minutes and seconds, and then you work on the hour hand. Thin forked edge gets the job done every time. Now, safety always. You don't want to scratch the hands or you don't want to scratch the loom. So I always make sure that I have these little plastic trays or little plastic containers, and I use plastic tweezers as well, or if you prefer, you can certainly use brass tweezers. So pick your hands off gently one by one. And put them securely aside. So that's the dowel you have there, still attached to the movement. And you always want to make sure that you protect it from any dust that might be floating around. I hope you've enjoyed part 1 of this video where we looked at removing the strap, case back, crown, movement and hands. In part 2 of this video, I will go into the removal of the bezel, bezel insert and crystal. I hope you join me there as we continue this beginner's guide to modding.